Lisa, you need to, yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the second session of our Uniglo launch this week. This is our third webinar of this year, launching the Uniglo. And for those new and existing customers, once again, we would just really like to thank you for your continued support and commitment to TensCare. For those of you who are new to the TensCare family, I just want to briefly introduce myself. My name is Connor Coleman, and I work as an export manager for our distribution into Europe. Let's head straight into the webinar. So today we will have 3 guest speakers who will demonstrate the use and effectiveness of EMS in effectiveness of EMS in fitness, and the use of microcurrent in the reduction of fine lines and wrinkles. We'll also have detailed case studies of how similar products have been marketed in other territories, and will be presented by a dedicated export sales team at TensCare. So let us take you through the agenda for today. So our first guest speaker will be Dr. Jonathan Hopkirk. He is an Australian trained medical doctor who has a special interest within aesthetic medicines. He has a bachelor's degree in human anatomy and structural biology, and has full certification in non-surgical cosmetic injectable treatments. His self-imposed mission is generally to lift the overall standard of treatments and care offered within the aesthetics medical field through applying general medical practices and principles that guide overall clinical and ethical excellence. Outside of his laser clinics that he runs and owns, Dr. Hopkirk sits on the board of advisors for HealthCrest Australia, is a member of the CMAC, global expert panel, and as well as the Scientific Advisory Committee of Allergen Australia. And second up will be Misha Bronwyn Misha. She is an impassioned South African trained aesthetics therapist and trainer with a career spanning over 20 years. She is involved in training therapists for the medical aesthetics fraternity and has lectured at the University of South Africa on electronics and B10 permanent makeup. She is also a content writer and trainer for the UK renowned institution Tracy Giles, as well as owning and running her own aesthetics clinic herself. And she has qualifications within somatology also. After Bronwyn is finished with her presentation, we will then have a 10-minute break, grab ourselves a cup of tea, bit of hydration, and then we will then follow up into our third guest speaker, our final guest speaker of the afternoon, which will be Neil Knight. He is a dynamic personal trainer with over 20 years worth of experience in the health and leisure industry. He's worked with many providers in the market as a PT trainer and has qualified a large number of personal trainers within the market across the UK and Europe. And also he's the co-owner of Health Hub and the owner of Elite Fitness Solutions. And they specialize in sports nutrition, sports training, personal training, and sports brand development. After Neil finishes with his review of the Uniglo, we will then move on to our Tense Care presentation, where Mackenzie will then be demonstrating the product features, going through the unboxing, and so on and so forth, to then move on to our market trends, where Karina will go through our knowledge, our expertise, and also the other opportunities we've identified across all regions of the globe where we are involved within the market. And then finally, once we do finish with our presentation, we will then finish up with a Q&A, where, please share any questions that you do have. This can either be at the very end of the session, if you want to share them live with us, or please, if you do have any questions throughout the whole webinar, please add them into our Q&A tab at the bottom of your Zoom screen. So without further ado, I will pass it on to a virtual Dr. Hopkirk. Dr. Hopkirk, of course, take it away.
So look, I sit on a couple of different boards within the aesthetics space, but my main job is I work as the global medical director for laser clinics. So we have 185 aesthetic medicine clinics across 4 different countries now. So Australia, New Zealand, UK, and most recently Singapore, with great appetite to expand into further networks. Also work on a complications collaborative group where we manage adverse events within the cosmetic aesthetic medicine space. So there's about 200 doctors with 15 of us on the expert panel, and which is mainly based in the UK, but it's a worldwide group. And then work on the Scientific Medical Committee for Allergan, which is one of the biggest cosmetic aesthetic medicine providers in the world. So it's good to have these opportunities because it forces me to sort of pull on a lot of the information that I get sent across my desk every week that I don't often get time to read into in full. So it ensures that I go through that and get up to speed. So thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and I hope you guys get something out of it. So what I wanted to take you through is give you an understanding around how we've changed our view and how we see ourselves based on our day-to-day, which is got some pretty interesting statistics coming out of some recent surveys of Australian consumers. Then some consumer insights from the UK, the US, and more insights from the Australian consumers as well. The influence that social media is having, and a look at some of the literature coming out about social media use and how it's changing our views of ourselves. And then the shifting focus from what has for a long time been more minimally invasive, cosmetic, injectable related treatments for the face, but now moving towards a body focus, and less so with surgery, with a growing trend in minimally invasive treatments for the body. And then the future, as promised, to give you a bit of insight as to what consumers are demanding now, which may well skew our future trends, or at least put in demands which will change how we look at things from a brand perspective and our offerings. So the mirror is no longer on the wall. We have a changed scope in how we see ourselves, because where we see ourselves now is so different. we used to get the opportunity, we would go to the bathroom, or if you were doing makeup, from a little mirror from, a handheld, makeup pocket situation, or, you're at home in front of the mirror before you go out. But now we essentially have a situation where we're seeing ourselves far too much, probably. And we're seeing ourselves a ton in a way that it's really framing how we perceive ourselves and others. So we're on tablets, we're looking at our phone on an average of about 160 times a day. We're picking up our phone. Instagram, Facebook, social media platforms, TikTok, these are all just proliferating and ballooning, and they're changing the way we see each other, and they're changing the way we see ourselves. And what I talk about with patients often is that they're incredibly tough on their appearance, and they scrutinize the hell out of themselves. And it's often because they've been in a comparison loop of comparing themselves to what they look like in their Europe photos from last year, the year before. Whereas in the old days, we would have an album, we'd have a photo album with printed photos that would maybe look at and bore our, friends and family with when they'd come over once a year. But it wasn't something you walked around with at the end of your arm and looked through when you were bored 160 times a day. So the scrutiny on how we see ourselves now it's just magnified. And our workplace, in brackets, face, has now changed. So not only are we now looking at our, not only are we in meetings, but we're in meetings and we're looking at ourselves, which for a lot of people is harrowing. And this little cheeky slide here just shows obviously the proliferation in the Zoom shares over the last 2 years, and how widely used Zoom is becoming, as well as Microsoft Teams and all these other portals. So Elegant Aesthetics did a survey of 2,000 plus Australian men and women aged 18 and above, and they were really wanting to get an understanding around how they were viewing themselves and others, and what their attitudes were towards their facial appearances after being so involved in so many camera-driven portals and conferences and webinars. So what did they find? Of those surveyed, they showed 71% had increased their frequency of video calls online or in meetings during 2020. And of this group, 34% had increased this time by up to 10 to 20 hours per week. You think if you're lucky enough and a working hour is 40 hours, it's almost half of your hours now spent on screens. Two-thirds cared about how they looked on video calls. 1 in 4 were more judgmental of others and their facial features. 31% felt more aware of their flaws. .94% had noticed that their appearance, before anything else came up on the call, what they noticed was their appearance. So when you've got the opportunity to sit in a waiting room like I did for 10 minutes, you're sitting there wondering if you look, less like a doctor and more like a lumberjack, and you're scrutinizing your own appearance. 66% felt anxious about their appearance. 21% were comparing their appearance to others on the call, and 62% felt self-conscious and did not have the camera on unless absolutely necessary. So you wonder, with all these statistics, if there's any time to actually process cognitively what you're meant to be doing on the calls, with so much judgment and consideration going on. 50% spent time making sure they had favorable lighting and angles. 48% had considered a range of beauty treatments to improve their personal appearance. And 14% were considering dermal fillers or anti-wrinkle injections to improve their appearance. So this is all just coming from working on a daily grind on increased numbers of calls where we're seeing ourselves. 14% felt their jawline is not defined when looking in the camera, and 17% felt more conscious of their facial frame on camera, especially their jawline compared to previous years. So there's a lot of scrutiny on the lower part of the face. 27% believe double chins, drooping jowls, and the jawline are key facial concerns, and 39% were curious about medical aesthetic procedures. So interesting. So what it's really saying there is that the way we've changed our lives and the way we've, pivoted and now we've moved our work lives to a screen-based function, it's really having an impact on how people are seeing their faces. Consumer research, and some research that came out of the UK this year. So 43% of UK consumers agree that non-surgical procedures are increasingly normal part of beauty and grooming routines. The biggest barrier to having a non-surgical procedure, well, 39% of UK consumers stated that price is the main barrier to a non-surgical procedure. And the lowest barrier, well, only 8% of UK consumers actually stated that judgment from other people is the main barrier to a non-surgical procedure. So the stigma around non-surgical procedures is slowly decreasing. So market research expects that cosmetic surgery will continue to decline over the next 5 years as financial uncertainties and price sensitivities following the pandemic will drive consumers to consider non-invasive procedures, which is where companies like ours start to benefit. Personal care, consumer research coming out of the US in 2021. So a report from the American Society of Plastic Surgeons shows that injections of Botox increased 878% from 2000 to 2019 in the US. According to the same report, adults aged 20 to 39 made up 20% of Botox procedures reported in this year, suggesting that some adults on the younger end of the spectrum are investing in Botox for preventative reasons. And many factors have contributed to the growing popularity of non-invasive cosmetic procedures, which we'll go in a bit more to soon. But you can already see from things like Zoom and social media, you can see where this is heading. 11% of US personal care consumers have changed their routine to include a professional aesthetic treatment like microdermabrasions or teeth whitening. The influence of influencers, they have a lot to answer for. And there was a study done by Hopkins et al., which was published in the JCAD last year, and it was titled The Influence of Social Media on Cosmetic Procedure Interest. The objective was a group of dermatologists that were interested in exploring the trends in online interest in cosmetic procedures and compare how the effects differed by procedure type and the relation to the medical specialty. The results, so terms like dermatologist, Botox, Juvederm, Radiesse, Cool Sculpting, Kybella, and facelift are increasing in popularity, whereas the terms Restylane, liposuction, rhinoplasty, and breast augmentation are decreasing in popularity. So get that, the terms Restylane, liposuction, rhinoplasty, breast augmentation are decreasing in popularity. So you can get a bit of a sense here that the more invasive surgical procedures are starting to be searched for less when they're looking at Google Trends. So the conclusion was that the online interest in non-invasive cosmetic procedures is increasing, potentially driven in part by social media. Another study done by one of our CMAC members, Arab et al., published in 2019 in the PRS journal, was titled The Influence of Social Media on the Decision to Undergo a Cosmetic Procedure. So what was the objective was to conduct a study really to determine the relationship between viewing cosmetic surgery advertisements and considering undergoing cosmetic procedures in female university students in Saudi Arabia. They did a cross-sectional study using an online survey. And what they found is that 816 of the 816 completed questionnaires, 48.5% reported being influenced by social media to consider undergoing cosmetic procedures. What they concluded from this is that the findings revealed that viewing cosmetic surgery related material on social media, spending longer hours on social media platforms, and having negative self-views when viewing social media are associated with an increased likelihood of considering undergoing cosmetic procedures in the future. From the face to the body. So, as I was saying, we have done a lot for the face over a number of years now. And really those that were looking after the body were the plastic surgeons and the dermatologists. But what is interesting now is we're getting more efficacy, more safety, more accessibility, and more take-up of treatments that are minimally invasive that can help in the body as well. So in 2019, the Australian statistics from one of the colleges of dermatologists in Australia showed that there was 4 million total injectable treatments. 2.3 million of these were wrinkle relaxing procedures, which was up 60% since 2012. And there were 1.6 million soft tissue or dermal filler procedures, which was up 78% since 2012. Body sculpting. So there was 1,007,000 total reported procedures in the 2019 Australian statistics for body sculpting, which was up 5 times in the last 8 years. And some of the standouts here were you had 257,000 cryolipolysis treatments, you had 208,000 radiofrequency treatments, 134 microfocused ultrasound treatments. And then if you look at some of the other ones and the other procedures, chemical peels, you know, just over 400,000 treatments, microneedling, 340,000 treatments. Australians love the aesthetic side of things, and it's a growing part of the routine with the body side of things as well. Why? So why the rise in the volume of non-invasive treatments for the body as well as the face? Key factors, as I was saying, they're becoming more accessible, they're becoming more affordable, they're less invasive, which means less downtime after the treatment. You have reduced wait times to get the treatments because they're being performed now with more than just dermatologists or plastic surgeons. So your accessibility is there. And you can get them in a quicker way. And the safety and efficacy is good when they're in good hands. The future. So where are we heading in the future? And I don't think it would take a rocket surgeon to understand that artificial intelligence is going to have an impact in this sector, as it will many. And how we're seeing artificial intelligence being used already, to give you a couple of examples, is Universe Skinners is a French skincare range, which I've actually used myself, and it's probably one of the better skincare products that I've used. It's compounded to your skin. It's compounded for your skin, rather, based on artificial intelligence, which takes into account people of the same age, background, skin type, gender, same concerns. They have photos taken of your face. This all gets computed, and then this gets measured by millions of other users across the globe to show what will be the best formula for you to achieve the desired results. Believe it or not, that is myself in a younger day with far less facial hair and far less stress, so far less lines, pre-COVID. But this was in a dental practice. He got me hook, line, and sinker. Actually, I never even got the procedure, but he managed to charge me an arm and a leg, which I didn't know about until after the procedure. I was just there for a checkup, but he charged me an arm and a leg to show me what it would look like. And so they utilized artificial intelligence and really good IT software to give me an understanding around, if I did want to mortgage my house, what I would look like with new teeth or veneers, composites, if you like. But what that does, though, for a patient is it really reduces the predictability. It does it for both the patient as well as the physician. And sometimes you've got a patient there sitting there going, okay, so it's not going to be as dramatic as I thought it was. That's great. Those are the patients that want to go in with more of a subtle approach. You might have a patient going, actually, I want to jack that up a bit. We decided on, small composites. I want to go for larger composites. And then with the accuracy that they disclosed to me, it was about more than 80%. If you're going in with an 80% accuracy rate, if I was promised that in clinic with my patients, most of my patients would be happy. So if you can take the guesswork out of it with artificial intelligence, then you're going to do fantastic jobs. The holistic approach. We are in an age now where there is so much importance on the things that we didn't think were important in our field. So what we're getting from consumers now in terms of what they're demanding that brands recognize in terms of treatments that are inclusive, those treatments that cater to all skin types, treatments that cater to people from all different backgrounds. So you can no longer well, you can, but it's at your own peril. typecast yourself to having a treatment which only works for a small group of people. So large brands are doing well by ensuring that they cater to all. Linking in health benefits from your treatment as well as aesthetic or beauty benefits is a huge thing. So the treatment now has to not only make your skin look great or your aesthetics look great, but it has to somehow link to making your health better. And this has really come strong through COVID, and that products, there's a huge demand for products that are going to help your health, because health is, as you would know it, growing to become the new wealth in people's lives with all that's going on outside. So there's also an all-in-one approach, as I was saying. So, can I have a treatment that doesn't have to be doubled up with another one or another second or a third treatment down the line to bring the health? I want it all in one. So I want the treatment to do everything. They're making it easy for us. And neutral, clean, and green and friendly products. So, we get these questions all the time. Are your products vegan friendly? For instance, I get asked, is Botox vegan friendly? You get asked, are dermal fillers vegan friendly? You get asked, in the packaging of your products, how much of a footprint is left on the earth from the packaging? How much water can be used in terms of the production of these products? So all these questions, which are very, specific, the questions that consumers are now asking and looking for online. And that's us. I'll leave you with a political photo. I don't know if it's the same in all of your countries where you've gone through COVID, but I don't know what it is about the COVID pandemic and toilet paper, but it's been incredibly popular. So in years to come, this could be how our art and our murals, how they enjoy sitting around looking at toilet papers and the importance of it. That is me, open to questions. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope I didn't go over too far. So look.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jonathan Hockkirk there, with, I think, quite an impactful insight into really where the market's going and how it's becoming a lot more holistic, as well as, the movement from going into non-invasive, because it is now becoming a lot more accessible and a lot more affordable to people. But now we must move on. We will now be moving on over to Bronwyn's presentation that she has made. So she is not with us today, but she has made a rather detailed version with her voiceover across the presentation. So she will be going through the understanding of the effects of aging, and then understanding the broad spectrum of treatments that are available, and then very much putting it into context with, of course, our Uniglo and very much our USP, that is including the Microcurrent program. So without further ado, Misha, the floor is yours.
Thank you for joining this webinar. I have included all the commentary slide by slide for you to refer back to later without you having to take any notes now. So this is what I will be covering today. Let's take a deeper look at understanding facial aging. Intrinsic aging is internal and is defined by a series of individual genetic changes. This is known as chronological aging and unfortunately is unavoidable. There are a wide range of variables that affect and accelerate this chronological aging process. Hormones, for example, can impact the skin due to the diminishing levels of estrogen within the body. This causes the loss of collagen. It increases skin sagging and, of course, the loss of water in the deeper tissues. Internal cell groupings responsible for specific functions, that is, our collagen formation, elastin formation, hydration through glycosaminoglycans, are all stimulated through metabolic rates. And these metabolic rates are affected by blood circulation. These cellular functions slow with age, but are able to be influenced through mixed modality stimulation, and this, in turn, will help improve their functioning. Additional factors such as catabolic aging further stresses older skins, and this is the result of chronic diseases that one may have. For example, diabetes, cancer, infection, and the list goes on. Physiological changes occur constantly within the body. Changes within all the systems and organs occur as our cell functionality decreases. So, cardiac output decreases, creating changes in our vascularity as well as blood pressure. Our lungs decrease in capacity, and this affects gaseous exchange. This will affect the amount of oxygen that a cell grouping may have available at a specific time. Blood glucose levels change as well as gastrointestinal absorption of nutrients for optimal health. If we think about it, in our early stages of life, supplementing with minerals and vitamins isn't really an option, or it isn't really a factor for us. But as we get older, this becomes more pertinent to a healthy life. Degeneration in muscular and skeletal systems affect our joints, our ligaments, bone density, and muscle mass. And this can change the patient's motion, agility, speed, and of course, posture. Extrinsic aging is externally caused through ultraviolet light, pollution, weather, temperature, diet, stress, chemicals, toxin, basically all of the things that we expose ourselves to. Smoking accelerates aging by depleting all skin proteins. The skin layers are affected by structural and physiological alterations, accelerating skin creasing, otherwise known as wrinkling. We all love a good wrinkle, right? No, that's just a joke. We don't. Let us now take a closer look at the changes affecting the scaffolding that provides structure in the deeper layers. Firstly, let's take a look at skeletal changes. It's one of the things that we haven't really taken into account, but it is one of the factors that creates the biggest changes in facial features, is the loss of bone density in the face. As we age, bones change through remodeling. This is when the body draws minerals, namely calcium and phosphate, which leave the bones weakened. Aging in the craniofacial skeleton is a result of atrophy, bone expansion, as well as bone loss. These changes are seen in the maxilla and the mandible and reduce facial height as well as facial length. Orbital hollows increase in size, reducing structural support for overlying fat reserves. Maxillary bone reabsorption contributes to the loss of perioral structural support, causing drooping around the mouth. Ptosis, or the drooping of the eyelid, is a gradual droop and is painless and is caused by the widening of the eye socket or the orbit. The levitator muscle stretches and separates from the eyelid, causing laxity of the upper eyelid and in extreme cases can lead to impaired vision. This is only rectified through surgery, blepharoplasty. Face shape and the physiological changes occurring in the skin, muscles, and bones causes the face to lose volume, and therefore the facial shape changes. The next factor affecting facial aging will be fat atrophy, or the loss of fat in the face. Let's take a look at how this occurs. Fat, bone, and muscle changes work hand in hand and are greatly affected by the changes happening with each other. The lower layer of the skin consists of fat pads supported by adipose tissue, primarily for insulation, protection, and cushioning. Over time, these fat reserves and fat pads waste away in the upper and mid face, and the lower face becomes fuller. As changes occur in the fatty layer, support decreases and the upper part of the face begins to sag. Fat pads no longer have the support of the fatty layer and separate into individual pockets of fat. This changes the overall shape of the face. When fat pads diminish, the upper parts of the face lose the shape and fullness as the lower parts become much heavier. Where fat and fat pads once filled the face, hollows are now left in their place, exposing bony parts of the skull. The next variable affecting the overall appearance of the face is the loss of muscle mass. And unfortunately, this is a vicious cycle because with a slowdown of metabolic rate and, of course, the lack of range of motion of these muscles, we are going to get a natural sag. But depending from person to person, this sag could be more intense. Aging muscles shrink as they start to lose water, they lose nutrients, as well as the muscle fibers decreasing in size and number. Aging as a whole slows the body's metabolic rate, and therefore atrophy of the muscles occur and increase. And this is what I said earlier, it's just a vicious cycle. On the deeper muscular level, there are certain muscle groups that start to weaken that create specific wrinkles on the skin surface that we treat today. The first quite famous one is our nasolabial fold. This is due to the weakening and degradation of the levator labii superioris muscle. This is where we get those two lines on either side of the mouth, forming almost a bracket-like look to the mouth, and that is the beginning of the jowl appearance. So the deeper this nasolabial fold becomes, the more jowly the face appears. Our marionette lines, also known as oral commissures. This is the anguli oris muscle that starts to weaken and pulls the mouth down on the corners, giving the face almost a sad-like expression all the time. Crow's feet on the corners of the eyes, the folding of the skin. This is due to the weakening of the orbital fibers of the orbicularis oculi muscle. Then our forehead lines, there's two different types. We have the horizontal and the vertical. So the horizontal lines are caused by the weakening of your frontalis muscle on the forehead, and the vertical line, which usually appears from quite shallow to rather deep in between the eyebrows, is the weakening of the corrugator muscle. This is a small little triangular shaped muscle in between the eyebrows. Now that we've familiarized ourselves with all of the parameters that affect aging, let's take a look at what we can do to slow down the aging process, try and reverse some of the damage that has been caused, and create treatment programs for our patients. As we all well know, there are a multitude of treatments available to try and slow down and reduce the signs and symptoms of aging. But like anything in life, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Prevention, maintenance, and perseverance are always the best combination for long-lasting results. Injectables, skin resurfacing, skin needling, photodynamic therapies, light therapies, radio frequencies, and the list goes on, are all available to try and change the superficial elements of aging. So that would be the fine lines, the wrinkles, the skin tone, the skin texture, and their results are most often short-lived and need multiple, if not consistent, treatment. They are still able to offer the patient superficial skin changes, but in order to successfully treat the skin's aging as a whole and slow down the effects, we need to treat deeper in the tissue. And this is why a multi-modality treatment program for facial aging is best practice, offering long-lasting outcomes for our patients. Taking a deeper look at microcurrent and how it can change the face and all of the effects of aging. Just some of the benefits. It helps to reduce the appearance of wrinkles and fine lines. It can help to to lift droopy eyelids. It can reduce dark circles and puffiness because it increases the metabolic rate, which I'm going to get into in a minute. Strengthens and lifts the skin and the muscle. It tightens and reduces open pores. It improves skin color and texture. It helps to diminish and improve scar tissue and helps to give the skin a youthful overall appearance. Let's take a look at microcurrent as a whole, as a technology, as well as the benefits it has on facial aging, as well as muscles and metabolic rate and tissues. As we established earlier in this presentation, changes in muscle mass affect the overlying structures. Even though we are unable to physically change or stop fat or bone atrophy, we are able to maintain and improve muscle health and strength. This is important as the facial muscles form part of the essential trio of structure. Microcurrent has many different interactions with the tissue, and it depends on the form in which we use it. It mimics the body's movements during exercise and can increase and maintain a patient's range of motion. Think of why one would visit a gym regularly. Well, we want to build strength, we want to help build muscles, we want to shape the muscles, we want to improve the functioning within our muscles for support, and of course, healthy metabolic function within the body as a whole. This is the same principle for the face, but on a much smaller scale and a much targeted area. The benefits of using microcurrent include the following: improving blood circulation. When we do this, we hand in hand improve cellular function, muscle control, muscle re-education. This is important in the case of general aging or anything that could be due to an injury or a chronic atrophy, something like a stroke, something like Bell's palsy. It helps to improve overall muscle strength and tone, decreases inflammation and acute pain. Let's take a closer look at the specific cell groupings and how they are influenced by microcurrent. Just before we go into detail of how our microcurrent affects these cell groupings, let's get a greater understanding for EMS, or electrical muscle stimulation, and microcurrent. So EMS stands for electrical muscle stimulation and has successfully been used in rehabilitation and training in sports. EMS produces intensive and effective muscular contraction. EMS is a form of physical therapy that is used in conjunction with active mobility, muscle training, strength training, and muscle coordination. In training, the technology for EMS is used for all kinds of muscular exercise: warm-up, strength, speed, power, resistance, endurance, recovery, as well as rehabilitation. Advantages of EMS include the shape and toning of muscles by isolating and contracting on specific muscular groups, especially for areas that are hard to exercise, such as muscles in the upper arms and muscles of the face. Successful athletes globally have discovered and make use of EMS as part of their training program, as this stimulation helps to increase localized blood circulation as well as increase the size and health of muscular fibers. So what is microcurrent? Microcurrent stimulation, or MIC, is a type of therapy where very low current is sent into the cells of the body. MIC is a very faint current that is so small it is measured in millionths of an amp, microamps. Microcurrent has been used for about 25 years in medicine. Good results have been achieved in the treatment of Bell's palsy, facial paralysis, stroke, wound healing, and pain control. As we get older, the body slows down, as we've come to know. The muscles begin to age and the skin deteriorates. Microcurrent has the ability to speed up the whole metabolism of the tissue as well as cellular activity. It works in two ways. It's preventative as well as corrective. It heals tissues so that a visible result will be seen only after one session. The skin will tighten and the lines and wrinkles will be softened because of their cellular stimulation. It helps to enhance natural features, encourages collagen production, tightens and softens lines. It's a very relaxing treatment, delays the aging process, and stops further damage by stimulating existing collagen. It is safer and less invasive than surgery. Other benefits include helping to lift sagging muscles, reducing edema, so puffiness and dark circles, especially under the eye area, which I have to say is really difficult to treat. There is not one specific cream, treatment, or product that works as well as microcurrent on under eye dark circles. It is safer to use than any other injectable and helps to tighten the pores. Because the cell groups are so deep in the skin, we are not always able to see exactly what they do. But if we put them in relation to skin types and skin conditions, these are things that we can visibly see on the skin surface. And these are usually the challenges that our patients present to us when coming to visit us for skin solutions. So on a dry skin, what can we see? A dry skin is usually characterized by having a flaky or powdery appearance. It is usually rough textured, dull, and lifeless. By improving cellular functioning, we are improving blood circulation, which therefore improves nutrients, oxygens, and cellular turnover. Dehydration. This is quite similar to a dry skin, except the skin feels tight and uncomfortable and not powdery, as the surface of the skin is usually very smooth in texture, hot, and sensitized. By improving cellular functioning, we improve collagen, elastin, and glycosaminoglycans, which improve more moisture in the dermis and the ability for the dermis to retain more moisture. Sensitive or sensitized skins. These skins are characterized by having a red, flushed appearance. The skin feels sensitive and sensitized and is hot and uncomfortable to the touch. By improving cellular activity in the skin, we are able to improve all of the collagen, elastin, as well as moisture in the deeper layers and decreasing inflammation. Mature, aging, or prematurely aged skins. These skins are usually characterized by dull and lifeless appearances. The skin tends to be a little bit lax or thin. We have fine lines and wrinkles on the surface of the skin. By improving cellular function, we increase blood circulation, we increase cellular activity, and we improve cellular oxygenation, which means the full cellular metabolism is improved and increased. Pigmentation or marked skin. This is usually characterized by an uneven skin tone with dark spots or marks on the skin's surface. By improving cellular functioning, in this case, we are able to increase the absorption of active ingredients, therefore giving our patients a quicker turnover time and a quicker result. We're also able to decrease inflammation, which is one of the key factors in the production of pigment in the skin. When it comes to facial aging, we all want a solution that's quick and easy. If we could be in the clinic every single week or every second day to manage and treat our aging, we would be there, but it's just not a reality for everybody. So the Uniglo device is safe and effective. It delivers results. It really is easy to use. And this is a great solution for your patients to maintain their aging at home in between sessions with you in the clinic. The Uniglo device uses EMS, or electrical muscle stimulation, as well as microcurrent technology. The device sends a small and gentle stimulation similar to that of your natural nerve impulses to the muscles being treated via 2 or 4 adhesive electrode pads, in order to help you firm and tone your body and to maintain your youthful appearance. Specifically developed programs target different parts of the body. These include the face, abs, buttocks and hips, thighs, busts, arms, and calves. There are 8 preset programs, including a new microcurrent deep facial toning program. These are able to provide the following benefits to your facial anti-aging treatment plan. Firstly, quick facial toning. This helps to tone, firm and lift and tighten the soft tissues of the face. Then we have deep facial toning. This microcurrent is effective for deep facial toning, and there's only very little sensation felt. Facial muscles and skin may also be stimulated to improve circulation, help activate the fibroblasts, which produces collagen and elastin, as well as tone flaccid and sagging facial muscles. Additional benefits include improving lymphatic flow, so that's our waste removal, improving hydration, keeping the skin looking plump, reducing acne and rosacea by decreasing inflammation in the deeper layers of the skin, reducing dark circles and puffiness by improving lymphatic drainage as well as cellular functioning, diminishing the appearance of scars, enhancing the penetration of active ingredients, alleviating pain in muscles and joints, helping with stress relief by reducing stress hormones and inflammation due to emotional imbalances, helping with insomnia, so you'll fall asleep quicker and stay asleep by calming and cooling your nervous system, help to restore energy, tones adrenals and clears exhaustion from the body, enhances immune system by decongesting the lymphatic, respiratory and immune system. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation today. I hope I've given you a little more insight on the solutions you have for your patients to manage their facial aging at home. This device is quick and easy to use as well as really safe, delivering the best results. If you have any further questions or would like to get in touch with me, please feel free to pop me an email. I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can and hopefully answer all the questions you may have. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you so much there, Bronwyn. I think really appreciate the insight and real breakdown as to how Microcurrent works and obviously given the context to Uniglo. So we're very excited with that. We really appreciate your insight there. So we'll currently take a break around about 10 minutes. So let's say we come back at 5 past the hour. So for us in UK time, that'll be 4:05. Grab ourselves a cup of tea. And then once we return, Neil Knight will be going ahead with his review of his personal point of view of using the device himself. He used it for about 2 or 3 weeks, but yeah, I'm sure he'll go into the real crux of that. And then after that, as I mentioned, we'll go into our TENS Care presentation also. So yeah, take a break for 10 minutes and we'll see you at 5 past the hour.